Do you think that we live in a racist country?
I think there's always going to be a moderation of racism everywhere. I try not to use the word racism. I try to use it as abuse, nothing more.
OK, now there's a reason why I came to you first, because you are from a traveller community, is that right for me to say?
Yeah, I'm a gypsy.
Right, OK, fine. You know who scored highest on the list of people who felt as though they'd been racially discriminated against? It wasn't black people, it wasn't people of Pakistani heritage or anything, it was traveller community. Do you think that's reality? Have you faced discrimination?
Have I faced... Yes, of course I have, because it's very easy to discriminate against the gypsy because we're white. So people don't assume that you're a gypsy, so it's very easy for them to be outspoken about something, not realising they're being outspoken. If you're black, if you're Asian, if you're Chinese, they can see you are, so they can curb their tongue a little bit more. Where they don't, if they don't feel they have to.
OK, Narinder, how about you? Do you feel like we live in a racist country?
Yeah, and your whole monologue, Patrick, I find it a little bit... I'm not going to use the word offensive because it's a bit, you know, people get a bit upset with that. I just think that there's always this denial from white people, some white people, that, oh, we're not that racist, oh, we're not like this, and we always have to prove it. I don't want to have to sit here and have to say to you, yes, this report is like... Why do I have to constantly have to... confirm.
Well, I'm not saying it's necessarily you personally, but what I am saying is, I'm sure you have. Yeah. But if it's very, very easy to produce a report that says based on people's feelings, so you just stop someone in the street. Yeah, it is.
It's experiences, not feelings. This is experiences, Patrick.
Okay, but
and I'm not going to sit here and have to prove it.
I find it hard to believe, right, that a third of all black people, say...
Well, of course you find it hard.
No, hang on a minute. Have experienced genuine discrimination in the workplace. Singularly, the reason why I find it hard to believe is because, right, I don't see a lot of it, and also, we have very strict laws in this country.
Of course we do.
And it's very easy to take an employer to court and win, right? So if that was the case, I would have thought that more people would be suing for a lot of money based on racism, which makes me think...
Well, they don't always win, and that's not the case. You're going by these examples that are not... They're not real-life experiences, that we're experiencing every day, and you're going by, well, actually, they can take these employers to court and win some money, so we're pretending. We're lying about racism, Patrick. Is that what you're saying?
No, not sure. I don't think it's lying.
Over a third.
I question how high that number is.
But therefore you're saying it's a lie.
I wonder whether or not...
I get called the P word.
Well, that's different, isn't it? Because I'm not denying that. If you were called the P word, that's obvious racism.
So therefore I suffer racial abuse. Therefore we are a racially unjust society. Fact.
Okay.
I don't want to sit here proving it.
Okay.
I'm sick of that.
Do you feel as though...
Really
do you feel... No, seriously.
I'm enjoying the debate.
But it's interesting because what I find fascinating is that you come from a community that rated the highest in terms of racial discrimination, but you're obviously sitting here feeling as though there isn't a huge amount of racial discrimination. I'm wondering why that is.
I go back to what I said earlier. Of course there is racism. I don't like to use the word racism. I like to call it abuse. And the reason being I see abuse as putting somebody down.
Why don't you like to use the word racism?
Because I'm not different than anybody else. And racism is a word of saying you're different.
It's too strong a word.
Do you think it's a defining feature of our society? Because this is where we're at now with the discussion.
If you say to me, look, let's be very transparent. Bar Bar Black Sheep is banned, but yet Cher can sing about gypsies, tramps and thieves, and it's not banned. Gypsies have the last acceptable abuse out there. So what do I do about it? Nothing is the truth. But
why don't you do something?
But if somebody asks my view on it, I don't want to debate the point. I want to state the facts. And what I'm telling you are facts.
Yeah.
But do I believe that the whole of our country is a racist country? No, I don't.
Can I ask Narinder, do you feel as though the goalposts have moved slightly? So, you mentioned the P word earlier, absolutely horrific racism, because there's numerous other words that we
just so I can get it out there, are we talking about pikey?
My heart was in my mouth. For a second, Alfie, I was like, this is how it ends. This is how it ends. And there we go. Oh, apparently, even though apparently I still have to apologise for that word. Anyway, right,
you actually can't say that.
Right, there we go. Okay, fine. Well, there you go.
Yes.
Right.
Just so we know where
Don't you dare now.
Where pikey comes
You can't say it.
Hold on,
can't say it.
It's rhyming slang.
Right, okay.
It's rhyming slang for do as you likey.
Okay, good stuff. I'm glad we cleared that up, and thus ends my career. But no, so have the goalposts moved slightly from, I'm keen to get your view on this, from clear and obvious racism to things like unconscious bias. And so when I was talking before about things like a feeling and a perception, that, I think, is quite a difficult thing to quantify. If someone shouts racist abuse at you in the street, that's real, proper racism.
Yeah,
but when you're dealing with things like unconscious bias, is it not very easily to say, well, the reason I didn't get that job, or the reason why this happened, was because someone was unconsciously biased? And the reality is, they might have looked at your CV and thought, you're not as good a candidate.
But I think the odds are that it was because of racism.
Really?
I'm going to go on the odds. Yes, because I've experienced so much. And actually, I do get a lot of unconscious bias. And I think, I've got a feeling on this one. I could be wrong, but I'm going to go with the 80% it was because of the
where are you
colour
getting
of my
that
skin.
from?
My experiences, not feelings, and I don't like that, Patrick. I think that this study, 2-year study, I don't care, no study is going to tell me whether I've experienced racism or not.
No.
Even if there's a study telling me there's no racism in Britain, that means nothing to me. None of these studies mean anything, because what's going to happen with that study? Nothing. What are we going to do to...
But then this is a difficult discussion to have, right? Because you've got to study...
You're never going to experience it, so you've actually sat there doubting it. I feel doubt coming, Patrick.
But I actually disagree with that strongly. So my family's half Greek Cypriot and half Irish, and when my grandparents came over from Ireland, there were signs outside pubs that had, and boarding houses, I should say, as well, no blacks, no Irish, no dogs, right?
Yes.
And I know for an absolute stone-cold fact that my Irish relatives suffered great racism. My Greek side of the family, we changed our surname because it would be better for business, because the original surname we thought wouldn't be particularly good with the
making money
with the British people. So that's part of the issue.
Can I just add a point?
Yeah.
For me to overcome racism, and yous have used the word racism a great lot, whereas I take it as abuse.
But abuse is that. That's the same thing.
It is, but somebody, if you want to put it into context, some white man somewhere, and I'm white, has made up a word. The reason you're being abused, that's called racism, and racism means you're different. I'm no different. So I take it that it's just abuse.
But abuse is not good.
No, of course not.
And correct, in your community, they face so much hate.
I didn't say it was good. What I said was, is this. It is abuse.
Yeah.
And I don't accept that I'm different.
Okay.
But what I would say, to overcome racism, it's about actually endorsing and blessing everybody's culture. So actually you get the benefits from it.